Good afternoon, Ken. My name is Michael Harrison. I'm a member of the Fords Colony Nominating Committee. First, thank you for volunteering to participate in this process to become a community volunteer, which is needed to help our community thrive. Welcome to this candidate forum, where you will be offered an opportunity to share with the community your thoughts on issues that impact residents here in Fords Colony and how you might participate working these issues as a member of the Fords Colony Board of Directors. We have prepared several questions today you are required to respond to so that our community has an opportunity to understand your perspective on key issues and how you might approach problem solving and making decisions as a board member. Because of the wide range of topics, we ask that you limit your responses to 2 minutes per question. We will give you a 30-second reminder when you approach the 2-minute time limit. With that, if you're ready, we can get started.
Let's start.
Okay. Major issues that came out of the annual survey was the concept of Fords Colony becoming more of a multi-age range community. Several voices have made comments about the lack of facilities, programming, and events for families with younger children. How do you see the Board of Directors acting to address this issue?
The Board of Directors has consistently proposed that this is a multi-generational community. And in doing so, we have encouraged all of our committees to look at programs that would address not only the older community, but also the younger community. As an example of such is we had the Facilities Committee propose a water slide over at Westbury Park that is really destined for the younger members of the community, the children, and we approved that to put in. So we go about it in a very systematic nature of having the committees look at the initiatives, bring them forward, vet them up, give us the information at the board, and then so we can discuss it at the board and make an appropriate decision. And in all cases, the board has gone for a multi-generational community.
Okay, Ken, thank you very much for that. The current Board of Directors has represented that the capital contribution fee proposal is an initiative to offset unknown maintenance and unforeseen capital costs associated with the aging infrastructure of Fords Colony. How would you explain this strategic financial effort to a group of residents that still have questions about it?
We've put together several documents and several frequently asked questions about this particular fee, and it all stems around the fact that this gives the Board of Directors an additional tool to maintain revenue and keep the dues down at a moderate rate for everybody, all of the community itself. It's a tool that other communities have used. We've evaluated that tool, and we recommend that we give that tool as an option to Fords Colony because it gives us something different to raise funds for capital needs that we need to have. And as an example of that might be future amenities. It also might be just addressing some of our aging capital infrastructure problems.
Okay. That topic, the CCF, is probably a natural segue to the next question. Board membership requires significant skill in the art of compromise to achieve collective decision making, which means effective listening, empathy, and flexibility. Can you describe, or I should say, would you describe an experience you've had of being associated with a team of strong-willed individuals and how you interface to achieve consensus to solve a common problem?
I have an advantage in that. Having been on the board for the last year and having gone through the COVID issue, we have had a lot of very open and discussions, vetted a lot of opinions, and we have some strong-willed opinions on this current board. We've gone through it, and we have actually come up with, in all cases, a common sense solution that benefits the community as a whole. And as long as we keep that in perspective, all of the board members come together and agree that the decisions we make are the best ones that we can make for the community as a whole. Some people will not like some of the decisions, but for the community as a whole, we come together with the best decisions.
Okay, thank you very much. Since many of the candidates have lived in Ford's Colony for some length of time, what improvements do you think are needed in our community?
I think we're on a very good path of keeping the community standards up. Specific improvements, we've got a few in mind, and it depends on what capital becomes available to them. I know some of our residents would like to have a gym in the community services building. We're having the facilities committee evaluate that process, tell us how much that would cost, tell us how much participation we get into it, and what are the other factors that we should consider before doing that. So I think we have a good vetted process to look at those ones. I don't have any specific ones in mind right now because I think we've kind of addressed a lot of them already. As long as we keep the community standard as a whole is where it's at, and keep the retail home value prices up for our residents, I think we're doing the job we should be doing.
Okay. What was one of the key reasons you decided to run for an open board seat?
Well, my initial one was back 2 years ago when I did it. Was I was involved with the finance committee at that time, and I thought it was an opportunity to take that expertise and bring it up to the board level to make higher level decisions and make sure, as I say, that we keep our community standards up to what we all expect it should be, what the community standards we anticipated when we bought here. And all of us have that same kind of goal and vision. And so I wanted to do that as in a very proactive way by being a member of the board. Now that I've been on the board for 2 years, I can still see that need is still there. I can see that, you know, my ability to work with the other board members is still needed on the board to help out and maintain some of the things we've had it for, like addressing COVID over the last 2 years. What's going to be the next thing up in the future we need to address? So I think that kind of expertise that I can provide to the board with a level-headed, conservative approach is what the board needs. So that's why I'm running.
Okay. Given that perspective, what 3 priorities would you suggest as being the most important for the board of directors to focus on this year?
Well, the first priority is going to be finishing up what we have started with the safety of our community. We've focused on speeding this last year. I think we need to focus the rest of the other safety issues in that. We've had a change of the way our residents view the community and how they work in the community. A lot more residents are working from home, therefore they're out walking on our paths and that. We've got to focus on the safety aspects of them being out in our community, mixed in with drivers and bikers and other people that are out there using our streets and our walking paths. I think our second focus is we've got to fix some of this aging infrastructure in there. We're doing it with the pipes. We've addressed the emergency needs through the special assessment for the last 2 years. We don't have one this year. I think we just need to continue that program and keep focused on that and keep that thing going forward. And then I think our third focus from the board's perspective is making sure that as our community our community residents and population changes, that we understand what those changes and what our residents need. As you say, we're getting more and more younger residents out there. We need to keep our ear tuned and listen to them and say, what do they need now out of this community so that they can help contribute to what we have.
Thank you. Many of the Ford's Colony volunteer committees are having a genuine problem recruiting members. How would you say we should address this problem?
Well, I think this is one of those where you have to almost go one-on-one with people in different things. And I know I've worked with several of the committees and helped them out there. it's finding the right people and then convincing that person that for the time investment we're asking of them, they will get benefit both professionally and in their standing in the community to helping the community be better. Um, it's a hard problem to say just a blanket solution to, because every committee has different things. I know our communications committee has some specific needs with the editing of the Talk of the Colony and people to put in that time. And they do a fantastic job doing it. And that's, again, finding somebody who has those skills, talking to them and showing them how an investment of time is going to benefit them and the community as a whole. And the same with all the other committees that are out there. And the community chairs have done a great job with that.
Okay, thank you. There has been, and some would say this is past tense, but a view that Ford's Colony will not replicate amenities that are available close by, such as dog parks, a gym, year-round swimming, or even a special events hall for theater, music, social gatherings, where cosmetics can sometimes be important. As you well know, our current amenities are somewhat limited to meeting rooms at the swim and tennis club with seasonal swimming available. What are your feelings on this topic?
Again, this is a hard one. The board has discussed this, and my general feelings on it is it comes down to a trade-off between how much do we want to invest versus what is the benefit gain for the community as a whole. I know some of the people, and there's numbers out there, you talk to the dog walkers, and then they'd like to have a dog park. Well, how can we put a dog park in a place that doesn't impact the neighbors of that dog park and still provide the benefit for those people that want to have a dog park? And it's a big trade-off. And then there's the cost trade-off. You know, how much does that fit in the budget that's impacted now by a lot of external factors that's driving the costs of our maintenance and the costs of of commodities that we want to buy and things like that. So it's a really trade-off, and that's why we ask our committees and the various ones, and in the case of this would be the facilities committee, look at the option, come up with options, discuss them, evaluate them, and bring some recommendations to the board members with the rationale of why and how. And every time they've come up with one of those with a why and a how, we've usually supported it because they've found a rational way that we can do that and benefit the whole community without increasing the cost to our neighbors too much.
Okay, thank you. Ken, last question. How would you handle an issue within a community in which there are strong divergent viewpoints? Example would be pickleball and tennis. How do you work through these issues with your fellow board members?
That's an issue, and it's kind of humorous at times. Again, it comes down to a balance of what benefits the entire community. It's not just the pickleball and the tennis. It's the pickleball, the tennis, and the neighbors located to those facilities and how it impacts those neighbors. We have a finite of our community, and there are a lot of houses right next to those pickleball and tennis courts that we're talking about. So we've got to figure out an option in which we can accommodate the pickleball to the maximum extent possible and help them out. At the same time, accommodate the needs of the tennis and the tennis players to the maximum import possible. And one of the key issues there is those hard courts are the only hard courts we have. The other courts over in Westbury Park are soft courts. They're not usable in the off season, in the winter. They get too wet and they're just not playable out there. So having those hard courts are kind of a fallback for the tennis players. And now we're starting to get people like Snazzy Tennis and that who are training the kids that want to participate in the sport. And so we have to engage and have discussions with them, get them together with the board leadership on a committee and a task force and discuss how we can accommodate all those things. There are multiple options to do. And then we've got to talk to the community neighbors too. In the case of pickleball, some of the rackets at pickleball really impact neighbors. to consider that. We actually had the pickleball club go to a soft racket and some netting and stuff, but now the sport has different dynamics. So it's going to be a tough problem, but I think we can get people together, get them talking, work a long-term decision, and then put it in the budget where we need to do it to make the right choice.
Okay. Well, Ken, that completes the questions that have been submitted by our residents and members of the nominating committee. I'd like to thank you very much for your thoughtful answers and wish you all the best as we move forward through this process.
Okay, and I want to thank the people on the nominating committee. You guys have done a great job doing this. It's a hard task, but you guys did great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.